Issues that obviously these gentlemen, and they are our younger participants, I've got to be honest. They're someone that's been a long time in the sport and also a long time to come in the sport. So it's most important how they've put changes in place over the last 6 months and what they see down the track. And as we mentioned, not everything is going to work perfectly first up. But obviously Marty Hallinan, who, if you're not aware of, is the man that's probably behind that zipping name at the present moment, and they do still zip around the world pretty well, not as fast as Fernando, but front and second's not bad in group racing.
No, it's all right. I'm looking for a Fernando, though, trust me. Is it Fernando?
All right, mate. No, okay. All right, let's go back. Now, you are acknowledged as one of the most successful breeders in our state. You've got a litter of pups born today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, ladies out the back, if you could, please. Thank you. Later on, Paddy, please.
Sorry, I've just got that latest.
That's all right. Okay, there's a litter of pups in your place born today. What do the Hallinans do to get that to Jason Mackay in 16 months' time?
A lot of work, Ronnie. No, well, we start off, we've just had a litter born 2 days ago, you know, and basically a warm kennel naturally to look after them properly, because Orange is a cold climate. If it's a large litter, I supplement feed them. I learned that through Johnny Clayton a long time ago, how to put a tube down and supplement feed them. If it's 8 or 10 and the bitch struggles, I judge all that as it goes along, you know, to make sure that their tummies are full and they're growing right. Then basically, you know, it's a worming program. Week 1, 2, 3, we always do the liquids, then into the tablets, and probably at the, you know, the vaccinations come along then, we go on from them when they're nearly 3 months old. They get smaller yards to the bigger yards, you know, and it's a big secret, the plenty of acreage.
Right, now, do you keep the litter together? If there is, say, 8, at what stage do you break them up at all?
Now, I've bred litters that have been 12. They might have a little disagreement, but they've got on. But if they have the big disagreements, I say 1 or 2 times, I will separate, you know.
All right. Now, as far as an education process from 3 months on, with obviously what's been thrown around the last few months, what have you sort of looked at doing? You know, the old-fashioned as the tennis ball work.
Yeah, we're more into the drag lures. I don't panic about it, you know, because you know, they see a magpie, they see this, they want to chase anything that lands in the paddocks, you know, it's a natural instinct to chase. Cameron, my sons, more or less, would try different drag lures, fox skins, you name it, you know, I don't panic, but probably at 6 months of age, I'll introduce them to that. And if I think, I say, Cameron, how they chase, or I'll go over and look at them, and I think they're pretty keen, I don't really panic them, because they never lose that instinct to chase.
All right, now, obviously in a big litter, if there's, not everyone's at the same level, can you quickly determine a dog that may need something extra special over the one that's just one of those that just everything you look at, he goes?
Yeah, well, you might just get him away from that group, lock the litter up, persevere, let him concentrate on it, and maybe looking at the next dog, you know, just little things. You just got to keep your eyes open and say, I've got to do more work, you know. But basically, I like rearing big litters together for toughness, bumping, you know, it's the balancing, it's everything that you need. I just don't like one dog. I don't pamper them. I like letting them go for it, you know. They're a running greyhound and they've got to be balanced right.
Now, okay, at what stage do you start to put a collar on, start to really, what you call, handle them?
Yeah. Oh, we handle them all at little age, but the collars, we like to say 4 to 5 months, we always teach our dogs to lead. The 2 week, we give them a 2-week course. We lock them up in kennels and we cut their nails and worm them again and give them that hands-on touching and brushing and etc. etc.
All right, now then obviously as you go on to your normal yard work, then heading towards the break-in stage, what is your average age now for breaking in greyhounds?
Well, I'm a bit behind at the moment, 15 or 16 months, I think that's a perfect age. You know, unless you want to break in at 12 and then still the dogs, which I don't like getting into, you know, it's a lot of extra work. Once they're in the shed, I like keeping them there, break them in and then say, you're going so-and-so, you know, different places.
Now tell me, the greyhound breed itself, Marty, over the couple of generations you've been really heavily involved in, do you see it actually changing, like with our different breeding styles?
No, I don't think it changes. I mean, maybe it does, you know, like years ago we didn't have imported semen and things like that, you know, but I basically just kind of watch dogs on Sky Channel and get interested in a litter and follow that dog and see his habits to actually want to pick a sire, you know. might go back a generation. I don't study it with hours to go back and look, but I just like watching races, watching, you know, like Fernando Bale, and you might say, gee, good dog, go back, I'll look at the mother and I can remember her and the sisters in it. That's basically what I do, you know, without going back 10 generations. I just don't get into all that. I know a lot of people do, but I don't.
Now tell me, of course, from your end, it's great to see the kids coming through into the sport, next generations, and that's something that's the family sport. It's a big thing with greyhounds.
Yeah, well, I've got two sons that work for me now. Cameron's in the Facebook and does all this. I don't get involved in any of it. I don't even know what he puts on, to be honest. I'm just watching the screen there, but he loves it. He loves talking to people, and for a person probably 3 years ago wasn't interested in dogs is very serious now.
Mate, obviously the success of the last couple of years, like you probably, did you expect to be where you were? Because I know a few years ago you were sort of just and on with sort of a few break-ins here and there, and then the explosion come and it's dogs everywhere.
Yeah. You kind of get in a position like Paul Wheeler. You breed good bitches and you just think you can't just keep selling them. You just got to, and we went from probably 4 bitches a year to a dozen now, if not 15. And I'm trying to be very selective because you know, you end up like Paul Wheeler, to be honest. That's what happens. You just get bigger and bigger. But I'm happy with what I've got at the moment. I know I can cater for. We've got 6 people that work for me, so things are ticking good.
All right, let me ask the question. Obviously, it's been thrown around in recent times with the new regulations, the number of litters a bitch can have. Just because you were Zoom top doesn't mean you go and throw very good dogs, and because you might never have raced, you might throw Fernando Bale. You would have come across all that in your breeding time.
Yeah, I have. Look, I've bred from bitches 10-year-old that have been physically good, produced city class. She had 3, actually 10-year-old, she had 3, and they were all city class winners. And one of them was Al Fresco. And I thought, gee, imagine if you can't breed from something. You know, it's got to be looked after. They've got to do a vet check, all that, but they're still feasible to breed.
All right, just around the grounds for Marty first up. Is there any questions anyone would like to ask him in regard to the rearing of young dogs coming through?
Yeah, Marty, thanks. Yeah, Marty, when your pups hit the ground, and I know things change because you get 1 pup or you get 12 or 10, and the regime has to alter a little bit because of the number of pups and the supplement they are not getting. But when they get to the age of, let's say, ear-branding, to say 12 to 14 months, weeks, what do you think their history should be, let's just say, for argument's sake, up to breaking in stage? Because I hear different stories, and I'm particularly interested in how to box train dogs. I'm hearing different stories that are successful, which is fine. But in respect to boxing, I heard from one trainer, which I believe it works quite well for him, and that is, he sees that if he makes his dog a keen chaser and brings them up, he doesn't have to put them through the routine of going to boxes, because by the time he gets them ready to a trial out of the box, they're that keen to get out of the box or to chase that their chasing methodology, let's say, makes them box well anyhow. But on boxing, which is a very important part of any dog's racing life, would you mind commenting?
Ronnie, we've just got the same process. Even if the dog's really keen, over the top, whatever our process is, we always box the dog. You know, like we've got it's very easy how you do it. I mean, it's no secret. We just back the dog into the boxes, pull the dids down gently. I mean, Chris is probably the bloke to ask because he does hundreds of them each month. But pull the dogs down, never let them get scared. You know, have your teaser out the front, might let them stand, give them the jump, swap sides, try and do 2 so they're side by side. Always have the dog looking down naturally. You know, it's a common sense process kind of thing. And then let the dog actually walk through the boxes, just for confidence, and then you'll put them in the right way. You know, some dogs, it might take them 3 or 4 runs to calm down, and Chris is a good bloke for this, just to say they get their confidence. Confidence is a big thing. They're not scared at all. I mean, I still get plenty of bad box dogs. All they want to do is look at the top. But you know, sometimes you've got to do the extra bit of work. But even if they're mad keen on the bugs teaser in the paddock, you know, you've got to go through the process. That doesn't generally mean they're going to be good box dogs, trust me.
On your accuracy of your real good greyhounds that have gone through the top grades, have you noticed that they're going to be special when they're 10 or 12 months of age? Have they shown something different to the others all the time?
I like the conformation of dogs. That's what I look for. You know, like you get the ones that are cut off at the rear and the long barrel dogs and the skinny back dogs. Like they're all different, but I like to look at a dog. I never pick them up 3 months. You know, I like to look at a dog at 12 months and say that's a good sort. You know, he's switched on. He's got a head right. It's a big mixture of dogs. I'm not saying that's the best one in the litter, but if I like a dog, it's a big start. I'll pat him.
All right. Okay, before we wrap up with Marty, any other questions quickly around the floor? We'll probably even get a tip out of him, though he's a terrible judge.
Yeah, Marty, could you just give us a slight insight into your feeding regime?
I know he's got a complete smorgasbord and produce store as far as apples and oranges. He's got a relation that's very close to that industry.
Yeah, our regime in feeding, we're in a cattle zone area, a grazing area, which we get a lot of injured stock. So we travel within an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes we can get 6 or 8 pieces a week. It's just that's just how we feed. But our dominant thing is cooking the dog stews. You know, we've got a massive big stew pot. Like you put it on, it takes you probably 2 hours to get the thing out. You know, you're talking 45 buckets. That's just how I love to feed. I love to feed any offal, as long as it's cooked. You know, tripe, lungs, heart, you name it. We get a lot of injured sheep. A lot of people do a lot of shooting with the deers and things like that you're allowed to destroy, things like that. And when I cook it all, might add a bit of grain, might do a bit of bread. Try and change the diet around a little bit. Big on dry biscuit feed, fat content. I always look at the fat content, that's number one, you know, because we're in a cold climate area. So, and we do like we call it a butcher run. Every Tuesday, Friday, we go and get the little offcuts of bones and little things like that. Just good for their teeth and the fat content. You know, it is important to have fat content winter time when it's so cold.
Very good question. I want to right now till tomorrow night. You've spoken to the trainers, and can you leave us with a winner anywhere?
Gee, I might have to back Jason Mackay today, zipping ninja the gardens. That might be the best, I think.
All right, we'll get up there for the first round of the Black Dog. Would you please thank Marty Hallinan? Come down here and stand alongside of Chris Nutt on this occasion. Of course, for those that don't know Chris, a young fella that came into the training ranks. He's picked up a couple of handy greyhounds and group success, and with his mate Sean Evans, then up at the Oaks started a breaking establishment, and that's probably how long ago now?
3 years.
3 years ago. So it's certainly been taking off, and I've had greyhounds done there myself, and they get beautifully looked after, and everything goes right. And Chrissy, obviously the breaker is now probably the most important man in the game, the way things have unfolded. Could you just let our audience know the way you have looked at things and to educate those greyhounds, and more importantly the old 4-week program, is that looking like that it may have to be extended with some greyhounds that just are slower coming to ground?
Yeah, well, I originally worked for Paul Wheeler for 15 years, so basically was just breaking in dogs for him and rearing, of course. But yeah, the breaking course, whoever made up the 4-week rule is, I don't know how they come up with that, but yes, each dog we treat each dog breaks in differently. A lot of things that we found, dogs that come to our place from, you know, to get broken in, it might take them 3 weeks to settle in because they're out of their own environment, and the breed might have something to do with that, being a bit shy, or some dogs are, you know, over the top, and you know, that they seem to handle themselves a lot better. But yeah, the breaking course, we're not miracle workers. You know, at the end of the day, the dog, if he wants to chase or she wants to chase, they have to show some sort of initiative, you know. And I think breaking in dogs, it's not easy, it's not hard, but yeah, you just got to read. Each dog is different, so yeah.
Do you see, like, okay, box practice and that sort of thing? Now, obviously, not all our states have common sizes as box as far as the height with the front of the lids and all that? Do you see down the track that's something we should look to do that's standardised right across the nation?
Yeah, well, when we break in dogs, we don't reverse them in. We just put them in straight in. We actually start them up the straight first. They'll get 2 runs. We always trial 2 out. We'll send, if we've got a group of 40 dogs, we'll take 20 down, but 15 of them will be first timers, as we call them, like the break-in dogs. But we'll send race dogs up as well. So we've got these big 20-dog trailers that are viewing, so the dogs can actually see the race dogs. As soon as they chase the drag, you know, you'll see them. They'll see it and then they'll start barking, and you know, it's a confidence sort of thing. We put the dogs in 2 at a time. We have the drag, which is a drag lure. We put it right up the front with a nice big bit of slack on it. Yeah, and then you know, we'll start the lure. Usually just, as soon as they're a side animal going, so they'll see it and then they'll just chase, and usually if one's a bit stubborn, you'll see the first one going, so he'll chase him up, you know, 100% he'll chase him up. And usually the second time out of the boxes, you know, they'll nail it straight away, and that's the way I've been taught from Paul, and we don't change anything. So yeah, breaking in the dogs up the straight first, and then we take them down to the circle.
Now, okay, what sort of distance progress do you take as far as, you know, 280s or something like that first up?
Yeah, well, the straight track's, it's a 17-second run, so probably 300 metres. They'll get 2 runs up there during the week, and then on the circle, over probably 330 metres. We slip them 2 out first time, and as I said, usually just to follow each other around, and yeah, so that's only about 320 metres.
All right, so okay, given the fact that it takes some dogs a couple of weeks to settle in, what do you really reach a time with that you think you're comfortable with, and ring an owner up and say, look, I think I've done as much as I can?
Yeah, well, normally someone will ask when's the best. You know, you can ring, usually we find if they ring at the end of the 2nd week or the 3rd week, you've sort of, you know, you've sort of assessed that sort of dog straight away, and yeah, they normally get the 4 runs on the circle track, and yeah, look, some dogs just are natural at it. You know, some dogs you could break in 2 weeks, but some dogs, I mean, Tomac Bale was a really good dog. It took 3 months to break in. You know, he used to go around, pull up, come back. But you see it all the time. Sometimes the old saying, the penny drops. As soon as you'll know when the penny drops, and then they can continue to go. But we've had dogs that they do everything right for 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden they're not interested. So it's sort of yeah, it's you treat every dog on its merit. You treat them all differently, you know. But we always encourage them, and you know.
Do you take much notice of the clock as far as break-in times when they get towards the end of their program?
No, I don't like the clock. You sort of know when you're watching them trial. You sort of get a bit of an idea of how they're going. But see, our job's just to break them in, or to yeah. Once they leave us, then it's pre-training. You know, it's all steps, and yeah. People say, are they city, tab, or country? You know, I have no idea. I've broken in dogs that have, you know, you think, oh, geez, how slow's that? And they win Group 1 races. So yeah, to find a dog that in 4 weeks, you know, and say, oh, that dog will win races, like, yeah, I'd be lying to say that. So you know, the clock's always good to see how they're going, but they've got to improve. They've got to, you know, keep going on with the job. So.
Okay, from an age point of view, yeah, always someone's a little bit different to the other, but what's the most comfortable age you think with break-ins for people that are owners out in the normal hobby world?
Yeah, I've always broken dogs in at, say, 14 or 15 months. Yeah, I know some people like to do 12 months, but yeah, if you break them in and then you spell them again, I just like the 14, 15, even 16 months of age. Once you've started them, you just keep going with them. You know, obviously once they've finished their breaking course, you get them checked over and make sure there's, you know, you get your little niggling pin muscles or your metacarpals and stuff like that. But yeah, generally, once I break a dog in, it's 15, 16 months, and then keep going.
Okay, any questions from the floor for Chris? I'll just come up the back here to share the microphones around. I'll just go across these two blokes here. The Tiger supporter here, they're struggling, the Tigers.
Yeah, they are. They certainly are. Box work, can you tell me how you do it and at what stage you do it, whether it's at the end of the straight track or what it is? Thanks. Chris?
I've just got one, two, but throw in the one side. I'll get two questions from one time. If you can.
Yeah, just Chris, on the education on the greyhound, like as a rearer, we rear our own at home. The best thing for you as a breaker-inner is us to handle the dogs as much as possible, educate them as much as we can to assist you in your breaking. That's what would make it easier for you people.
Probably the biggest, I wouldn't say complaint we have at breaking dogs in is some dogs when they come to us generally are not fit, and there's a lot of stress. You don't want to be, some dogs can't cope with, you know, free galloping, like Marty says. I think free galloping is a necessity, because you know they're clean, they learn to bump, they're clean-winded. Some pups we get, they might have been reared in only a small yard, and there's a lot of, you know, to be chasing something, they're obviously going to be chasing very, very hard. I find the more hands-on dogs come to us, it's a lot easier for us in that regards, because you don't want to be dragging dogs, or if it doesn't, yeah, it's not sure what it's supposed to be doing. The major thing with the breaking dogs in is hoping that the pup that you get can stand the workload, because you know, I don't want to be taking money off you in after a week, and the dogs might get acidosis, or it's just trying too hard, but its body can't cope with the, you know, what we're trying to put to it. But yeah, rearing, I think, is a lot to help for the breaker in, because as I said, the last thing you want to be doing is, if we get a dog that's injured, we'll let the person know straight away, because it's just not fair on the dog to, you know, push it if it can't handle the work at the time. As for box work, yeah, the way I've just been taught through Paul is, yeah, we just put them into the boxes. We will start with the drag, just dangle it in front. They're curious, they'll have a look, and yeah, usually the first time they go, it's yeah, you get your bad box dogs, but you can do a lot of, you know, you might, our straight boxes are pretty silent. A lot of the times you'll find dogs when they go in the boxes, there's a big bang, you know, like it's all sort of a bit a culture shock for them. It's a lot of big noises and stuff. Our straight track's very silent, so it's all sort of as soon as the lid's open, it's nice and quiet. They'll see the lure straight away, and yeah, I'm not lying, they'll go straight away. So and then it's just a repetitive thing. You just, once they do it right the first time, then you'll see improvement on the clock. You'll see, you know, they're striding up the straight. You know, you can see them chasing hard. You'll see them head down, chasing well. So yeah, the box work is obviously an important part, but yeah, we've never. It's not just we concentrate on the box. We just put them in, and we find that straight away they go, and it's just a repetitive thing. From the time they come to our place to the time they leave, they've probably been out of the boxes 6 times, 7 times. So, and then you know, we normally will tell someone once their dogs have been broken in, we'd like to have them slip. If you were to get a dog off us and go to Dapto or Richmond, just slip it on the corner first, then bring it back another 50 metres, and then go out of the boxes and yeah, go from there.
Chris, what sort of lure have you got on your drag, and what colour is it?
Yeah, it's an old post bag. Yeah, we make it, it's fairly long. We find, as I said, with the greyhounds are side animals, so yeah, we cut it up, it dangles, it's only a drag lure, but on our circle track, we've got an old mop head, we've got the squealer, you turn it on and off, and it it activates with movement. And then we've also got an old, the old duck caller lure on the arm with, it's wrapped in a hot water bag, and there's just a variety of, yeah, just different things on there. It's mainly to, well, if they see it and they want to chase it, yeah, it's just things that flap, it's like with pups, you know, pups from the day dot, you know, you can take your hat off, go like that on the ground, and they're all, you know, it's an instinct for them. So yeah, you just got to try and think outside the box, and if they're chasing a mophead and loving it, we continue to do that, but we'll change things all the time, and you know, with the dogs, as long as they're confident and they want to have wanting to chase, well, it's not that hard, but it's just repetitive, and you got to, the dog wants to be, if he's keen and he's happy to chase whatever, well, that's, you know, we just go with that. So.
With a beard like that, they'd probably chase you. Ladies and gentlemen, just put your hands together, please. A long way today to be here. This is certainly great, and we wish you well, Tell us all your great health and continued success. And